Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I'm your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome an accomplished author and a coach from Montreal, Canada, Gabriela Embon. Gabriela, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh, for having me.
Thank you. Gabriela is an author of a book titled Becoming a Power Couple: Four Pillars to Engineer Legendary Marriages. She's a chemical engineer, a relationship coach, an author, an influential host of the Life Engineering podcast, and a dynamic keynote speaker. So, Gabriela, before we speak about your book and relationship coaching, a few questions for you. Tell me about your journey and what was the inspiration to transition from chemical engineering to relationship coaching?
Oh, wow. Okay. Gladly, I'll tell you my story. I became a chemical engineer because it made sense.
Mhm,
I was passionate about science,
mhm,
so that's why it made sense.
mhm,
Secondly, I wanted a career in which I can provide for myself
mhm,
very quickly. So I think many people, we do that, right? When we're young, we're driven we're driven to prove that we can succeed. Our
mhm,
core motivation is to be a productive adult, and
mhm,
therefore our choices are um, geared towards, okay,
mhm.
make your parents proud,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, so I started this career, which I enjoy doing. But if you're familiar with the concept of your genius zone, you know that when you are in your excellence zone, you're going to hit that wall when you realize that
Mhm,
you are completely misaligned and you are no longer fulfilled by what you're doing. In the beginning, you are because it's new, you want to prove yourself. But once you prove yourself, then you ask yourself, what else? So I hit that point when I was 35.
mhm,
And I also understood that if I don't realign myself professionally, despite having everything else, the family, the happily married, I won't be happy.
mhm,
And the first pillar of to engineer a legendary marriage is me,
mhm,
the me. Making sure that I don't outsource my happiness and
mhm.
I search for what I want, what I need, and go after that.
Fascinating.
So that's when I did a career change to coaching because I realized that this was my passion.
Mhm.
I don't think I knew it was my genius zone yet. I
Yeah.
had to discover that, but I
Mhm.
knew it was my passion. And I knew that I was making a choice not from the need to prove something, but truly from a desire to find myself and align myself internally.
Amazing. Thank you. And how has your personal relationship and family life shaped your professional mission and message?
It's my personal relationship and family life has ripple into everything that I
Mhm,
do. It's my source of power. It's what keeps me sane, what makes sure that I don't burn out because I am an overachiever and I have that tendency to hustle.
mhm,
It's my grounding. Uh, it's my home. It's my safe haven.
mhm,
So to answer that from a different perspective, my husband and I we grew up together, right?
mhm,
No, we didn't grow up together. We grew into the adults we are
mhm,
together. We started with nothing, very young, and we decided to create a life together. And that meant that we would support each other in fulfilling our callings, our missions, what we want to do. And I
mhm,
say that because today in there's a lot of, I think more in popular psychology, there's a belief that you already need to be established before you find love.
mhm,
Either I need to love myself before I can find my soulmate, or I need to be already established in my career or make money before I can find my partner.
mhm,
So I'm kind of want to challenge that myth. No, you can grow together. You
mhm,
can learn to love yourself. You can you grow in your career and your finances together, and that's what we
mhm,
did. So we always supported each other. And unlike the common myth that relationships take your freedom away,
mhm,
for me, because I built that bond of trust with my husband, it actually gave me freedom. Because at the age of 35, with 3 children, and my youngest being 1 year old at the time, I wanted to do a career change. I wanted to rock the boat and shift the status quo and the engineering salary, right? I not have a partner who supports me financially as well as, says go for it, gave me so much strength and courage, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Very interesting.
So rather than taking my freedom away, it actually gave me the freedom.
Fascinating. Let's now talk a little bit about relationship coaching. And my question to you, Gabriela, is what do you believe are the most common causes of disconnection in modern relationships?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me that question, because I was talking with a client just about that. So let me start from the beginning, because my brain is already running here. I'm too passionate about this. I think the most common reason that modern relationships not sometimes, 50% of the times don't work, is that we don't know how to build a true connection for different reasons. Either we didn't have a good model at home, or we are 1 foot in, 1 foot out. We're not fully committed. And we don't know how to manage the male and the female energy. I was talking with this client. She's a very driven, ambitious woman with a lot of male energy. And I could see myself in her, right? And I told her, you can be that and use that to go and, succeed in your career and climb the ladder of the corporate as you want. But make sure that you know how to balance your male and female energy. You know when to switch. So when you are home, you want to embody the female energy. Not to disempower yourself. I'm not talking about disempowerment. I'm talking about that pure empower female energy, meaning you allow your husband to embody the male energy. I think that today it's so blurry when it comes to male and female energy. And I'm not talking who does the dishes. I'm talking about the woman being the homemaker. I'm talking about the woman making her husband feel like the male energy. So that's a little bit of a higher perspective. But if we bring this down to the practicality, is learning how to build a bond of trust and a connection. And it's just a question of simple rituals of connection. Hug your husband, hug each other in the morning. Go to the door when one is leaving, go to the door and say bye, have a good day, give them a kiss and a hug. Greet them back at the end of the day. Build a home. Everybody feels that you can go into the world, do your thing, come back. This is your safe haven. Stay connected. Brief each other. How was your day? What happened? We have a crisis of connection. We don't understand that marriage is a unity.
Yeah. Amazing. And what role does self-awareness play in building a thriving relationship?
So in my book, I describe 4 pillars: the me, the you, the our, like what's our, like our home, our children, and the us. Now, the first pillar is the me. This is where self-awareness comes into play. I cannot build a happy relationship or a bond of trust with somebody if I am not self-aware, if I don't take responsibility of my happiness. I think many times we outsource our happiness to our partner, right? Or we use them as a punching bag. So self-awareness is the part where you say, wait a second, you trigger me. What you said triggered me. I'm just going to see what is it in me that I need to work on rather than always blame my partner.
Yeah.
So key component, it's the first pillar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because can you trust somebody who blames and doesn't take responsibility of, of their own happiness and their personal development? I wouldn't trust a person like that.
Correct.
That's being married to a child, basically.
Correct. Very well said. But in your book, you use the word engineer legendary marriages. Can you explain the concept behind engineering, or is it just a chemical engineer in you talking?
No, actually, the book brings the parallel between the engineering world and the relationship world. And the first premise is that marriage is not a status. It's a journey that needs to be developed. And we should never actually stop doing marriage development. Like you never stop doing personal development or career development. You don't stop doing marriage development. Now, engineers, we know that we have a mission and we have the vision of the product. We pilot it, we start, and then we course correct. We don't expect things to be perfect immediately.
Yeah.
And we never stop investing and improving. And that's where the engineering mindset comes. Your marriage is a very dynamic entity. It's an entity. It's a product. And why is it so beneficial to look at it as an entity? Because when you're investing in it, you are investing in that entity to make it better and better and better. But one thing engineers know is that we don't expect results overnight. We're not afraid to course correct, measure and course correct. And we commit to the success of the product, even on days we don't feel like it. So engineers are driven by commitment, not by emotions, right? Same applies in marriage. If you rely on feelings, well, one day you will be in love, another day you won't. One day you'll show up and do what you need to do, another day you will tell your spouse, I don't care. So commitment is not driven by feelings, because feelings are not predictable. It's driven by intention of what you want to build, and you show up even on days you don't feel like. You go on that weekly date, even if today you don't really feel like it. And that's
so fascinating. And what is the role of emotional intelligence when a couple wants to become a power couple?
So emotional intelligence is under the first pillar and under the second pillar, right? So again, being self-aware and working on myself, but also understanding my partner. So emotional intelligence is when I say, when I understand that if my partner is watching his favorite show and I want to talk to him, I'm not just going to come and start talking because I'm more important than your stupid show. I'm going to ask, there's something I want to discuss. Is this a good time?
Right.
Emotional intelligence is the part of you that understands that even though I can multitask, he's more of a linear performer. So if he's in the middle of something, I'm going to wait before I say the next step because I know he's going to get overwhelmed.
Fascinating.
So it's the understanding and accepting of myself, but also of my partner and his ways.
Amazing. And Gabriela, what are some common misconceptions people have about what it means to be a power couple?
Well, usually when people hear the word power couple, they think wealth, the jets, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that powerful synergy of unity that makes you feel that together you can accomplish way beyond the sum of the two parts. It makes you feel invisible because you have this union. And to reach that synergy of power couple, we have to overcome the middle stage. So in the beginning is the honeymoon phase. It's beautiful. But when the chemicals in our brain, right, come, now we enter the power struggle phase. That's where self-awareness, personal development, working on the rituals, the commitment is practiced by rituals. The rituals on the marriage is crucial, because then when you overcome that part, you start transitioning into the last one, which is the power couple synergy. So a common misconception is that it's very difficult to get there. It's not. Even if you didn't have a good example at home, all it takes, that's why the engineering mindset, right? All it takes is to show up and be committed, even on days you don't feel like it.
Very interesting. My next question is, how do you advise couples to handle conflict or power imbalance in their relationship?
Well, it starts going through the 4 pillars. Excuse me. So you need to understand why there's conflict. Usually, it's never about the conflict. But there's a big difference how we handle conflict when we feel connected and when we feel disconnected. So I always say that a crisis of connection, a crisis of communication is a crisis in connection. When couples feel connected, they go through conflict as a team to understand, to resolve. When they feel disconnected, that's when the power struggles happen. And we want to win. We don't see ourselves as a unity. So in the book, there's a whole chapter about conflict resolution and how we approach conflict. But it has to start before working on with the connection rituals. Because when we feel connected, we resolve conflict very differently. And usually power struggles, it's lack of connection. And again, we were talking about female and male energy. If we don't have a nice synergy between the two, we're going to feel those power struggles. If one person is not into personal development and blaming, we're going to feel those power struggles.
Very interesting and very well articulated. Thank you. How do cultural or generational differences impact implementation of the 4 pillars?
I don't know how they impact the implementation per se. It's more about how it impacts how we do and approach marriage. In certain cultures, the commitment is unwavering, right? Once I'm in, I'm fully in. I can tell you, for example, that my husband and I share our finances from day one. That's very cultural. But here where I live, people usually have separate bank accounts. They see themselves as 2 financial entities. So, okay, let me take it back. This will affect the pillar of hour. Right? It does affect how we implement that pillar, because I always tell couples, we are one financial unit. And by conducting yourself as 2 separate entities, you don't discuss how you manage your money. If you have one mission, and in that mission is the fulfillment, the professional fulfillment of both couples and the children's and the projects, then you have no choice but to discuss how you manage your money. But if my money is my money, your money is your money, right? I don't need to tell you how I spend it. I think then we're not really a unit.
Correct.
That's a very cultural decision usually.
Though I've often heard, the men and women saying, my money is my money, your money is our money.
That's right. And I was talking with this client who is an overachiever, and she was saying, well, I feel he should be the provider. I said, well, you want to be, you're climbing the ladder. You want to be extremely successful. Having the belief he should be the main provider is going to block you. How about This is our money. It doesn't matter. Sometimes you'll make more, sometimes he'll make more, but that's the beauty. You can support each other that way. Absolutely. It's our money and we manage it together. It doesn't matter who makes the money. It's our money.
Absolutely. Well said. Gabriela, I have time for two more questions for you. How do your book strategies adapt to different relationship stages? Dating, newlyweds, long-term partners, and so many other stages we go through.
So ideally, we want to teach the 4 pillars to newlyweds or before marriage. I offer this pre-marriage package where we teach couples how to do marriage according to the 4 pillars, so they start building that home from the get-go. However, the book is written in a way that is suitable for any stage. If you are in the power struggle stage, it's going to be a lifesaver, right? Because you're going to understand which pillar is missing in your relationship. If you are already in the power couple synergy, then there's no limit of how much or how deeper your connection can be.
Right.
It's going to remind you sometimes what we have forgotten. It's going to give you new ideas. We never stop learning about our partner. Never. We never stop doing a PhD on our partners.
Yeah.
And no matter how many years you've been 40 years married, you can still learn more about your partner because one, we're always changing. Two, we are always experiencing new things. And in each stage of life, you're going to experience yourself differently with children, when the children leave, when you enter, after retirement. So the 4 pillars can be adapted as you move along and with your partner through life.
Absolutely. Very well said. And my last question for you, how does your book help readers balance ambition in their career and connection in their relationship?
So glad you asked that, because I'm very passionate about helping leaders win at work as well as at home. So the book provides a blueprint to make sure that you build that connection at home as well as at work. It's not about work-life balance. It's about integration. What the book does, it first and foremost helps you understand 2 things. Your partner and you are a unity. If you are a unity, right, then you're not balancing 2 different parts, work and relationship. It's 2 different aspects of one mission. You want to integrate them. Secondly, it helps you create that source of power at home. So when you show up at work, you show up whole. You show up anchored and not fragmented and divided, where you say, oh, I'm killing it at work, but I don't want to talk about home. And that's a recipe for burnout, by the way, because you are not recharging. Home should be the place where you recharge. And I don't mean come home, watch TV, put your feet up. I mean that the relationships, the connections at home are recharging. So the book provides all the right rituals to integrate and feel like you don't need to juggle the 2 parts.
Amazing. And on that note, Gabriela, I just want to say, what a fascinating conversation this has been with you. You've obviously done a lot of work on relationships. You clearly have a very, very strong home and a strong relationship. Your 4 pillars of me, you, our, and us are so powerful and so applicable in any kind of relationship that you can possibly explore. Thank you again for speaking to me, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Ashutosh, for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.